Welcome to Unfiltered and Unstoppable with Rob Romesburg. Real strategies for real advisors, a podcast that dives into what it takes to scale a thriving financial practice. Each week, we'll discuss actionable strategies, tools, and insights to keep you ahead in today's financial landscape. From innovative products and powerful marketing tactics, you'll get unfiltered truth and unstoppable strategies. Let's get started by building your unstoppable financial practice today.
All right. Well, welcome back to another episode of Unfiltered and Unstoppable. I'm your host, Rob Romesburg, and today we are going to be talking about something that I know a lot of advisors have thought about, but very few feel confident enough to actually do, and that is radio. And here's the honest truth. For many advisors, the idea of hosting your own radio show definitely and understandably so is intimidating. I get it. I'm not confused. And you might even be thinking to yourself things like, what would I even talk about every week? Or man, I don't have a radio voice. I'm not a broadcaster. Oh my gosh, what if I say the wrong thing? And you know what? No one even listens to the radio anymore. These are things you might be thinking. And because of that hesitation, radio probably stays in that area of maybe someday I might do it, kind of a bucket, instead of you taking full advantage of it and it becoming one of the most powerful trust building tools that is available to you in your business. And most advisors don't realize that you don't need to be the radio personality. You don't have to sound perfect, and you definitely don't want to turn it into a commercial, nor should you. And what radio really does, and it's very rewarding. It's something that you already do really well right now, educating, explaining, and ultimately guiding people through uncertainty. You're already doing those things. And when radio is done the right way, it's not broadcasting. It's totally going to feel like you're having a conversation with the exact type of people you're already serving today, and that would be pre-retirees and retirees primarily. And these individuals are hungry for clarity, reassurance, leadership, and by the end of this episode today, you will immediately understand that radio definitely belongs in your practice, and how to think about it more with confidence as opposed to hesitation. And that's why I'm really excited about today's conversation, because I've got the guy with me. I mean, my man has got all of the personality. He does enough radio for all of us combined. But he works with our advisors every single day to help overcome any sort of intimidation, help them to find their voice, and help our advisors turn in radio into a consistent source of trust, credibility, and yes, appointments. And here is our director of radio, the behind the scenes co-host for all of our advisors across the country. And he is someone that understands this more than anyone else, Mr. Tony Shore.
Oh man, thanks. That's too kind. Too kind. I'm kidding. But you know what? Bringing me on the show, Rob, that's brave. It's brave to bring me on as a guest, because you're going to get stuff. Buckle up, Buttercup. Never know where those markets are headed. You better buckle up. I'm excited. Thanks. I'm on the Rob Romesburg show, Unfiltered and Unstoppable. I think if there's any two words that best describe my friend Rob Romesburg, that is unfiltered and unstoppable. I mean, I don't think we could find better words. I mean, if I had my own show, I guess it would be Pizza and Records. That would be the name of the show, because there's no two words that describe me better. But yeah, album, vinyl, and pizza show. That would be my show. But you, awesome. I'm so excited that you're having me on as a guest, and that we're talking about radio and podcasting, because yeah, people build it up. Like you said, they have all these questions. So Rob, you and I actually just recently got to hang out at a huge financial conference, and a lot of the folks that listen to the show or are hearing this, hopefully they were there. It was 500 of the top advisors in our country getting together, and that was a great time. I had a good time. Did you enjoy it?
I absolutely I look forward to the Gradient Summit each and every single year. And before we go too far down the path, I am totally shocked with how lame your opening was there. I mean, that was the Tony Shore that I know. That was
Pretty tame.
so yeah, it was very reserved. I mean, that was
A little too
unbelievably
reserved for you?
Yeah.
Really? Well, we could fix that. I mean, I could start calling you Goat Boy on the show, and then we could go from there. I mean, I do have.
Let's go.
You got I don't know what you're doing over there, Rob. Rob, just know that here on our end of things, we are praying for you daily.
Okay.
We have a time we set aside.
Good.
Where we pray for Rob. No, Rob, I do love your show. You've had some good guests. I feel honored to be on your show. But yeah, it's going to get crazy. I mean, Rob, what a lot of our listeners out there and a lot of advisors don't know is that you know a lot about finance. It's not just, you help people, you help other advisors, even though you're not a financial advisor yourself. You've worked in the industry a long time. And that's why most people, I don't know if you know this, refer to you as Financial Panther, eh? A financial panther. Yep. Even Homer Simpson, he calls you the Financial Panther. That's Rob
that's
Romesburg.
the goat. That's the goat right there.
Yeah, really, you're a financial goat. But
right.
Yeah.
Well, today is January 15th as we are recording this, and tomorrow will be my 20th anniversary at Gradient. Can you believe that?
Wow. Yeah. I mean, you were there early days. I'm sitting here proud. This is my 13th year at Gradient. So it's 13, but 20. Mm-hmm. I cannot believe that you've been with Gradient Financial 20 years. Yeah. You must have started right at the beginning.
Yeah, that is correct. Yeah. And way back then, for us to even be able to think that we would have our own in-house radio co-host, let alone have multiple of our advisors co-hosting radio alongside you, some of which have already done hundreds, maybe even thousands, I could be off there, of shows that, like, literally back in 2006 for me, that would have been just so far beyond my scope of imagination. It's just unreal that we're here today, and I love it. And you're a great part of it, man. You really are.
I appreciate that. And I really do. And we can get into it, but I have so many examples of how this works and can really let people know just how successful people are. We have advisors out there that have stopped doing seminars because radio works so well for them.
Yeah.
I mean, this has happened, and we'll talk about that, and I'll give some examples, but I'm excited to be here to talk about this in this program because almost everyone that would hear this podcast and the advisors that work with Gradient can and should do radio. If not, there are some extenuating circumstances. If you're not in the right market, things like that, then everyone should be doing podcasting. That's a no-brainer because, as you know, and I mean, I hate to use you as a whipping boy here, Rob, but if you're worried about not having the voice or the physical appearance or just the speaking skills, know that Rob here has his own successful podcast, Unfiltered and Unstoppable. So I want to point out that, hey, if Rob can do it, you can do it. Right?
I love it, man.
I'm razzing you.
You find a way to humble me every day. And, thankfully you're around because who knows how big my head would get.
And also, I have bad posture and severe financial problems.
Bro, timing. That was phenomenal timing. Well done. And
Well,
here's the reality, is that radio can be a game changer, like you already said. But
oh yeah.
I personally have had multiple advisors stop doing seminars because of the success of radio, and that's the thing that I want to make sure that we say up front here and be very clear about. Radio's not dead by any means.
No.
It's not outdated, um, and it's definitely not just branding, right? Like I hear that as well, and when radio's done the right way, it will become the most powerful, trust building, authority positioning, appointment generating tool that you can have. Here's the problem though, is most advisors that try radio, they treat it like a commercial, or they talk at the listeners as opposed to them, and too many give up way too soon
Yeah.
because they don't actually understand how it works. So Tony, let's start here. When you've got an advisor and they approach you for the first couple of times and they say, I'm thinking about radio. So in plain English, what should they be thinking radio is going to do for their business?
Well, and I hate to use the word it depends, but it depends on a number of factors, Rob. It depends on their market, and we're not going to use excuses, but it does depend on their market and where they're at, what level their business is currently at. But I think for most everyone out there, radio at some level makes sense because number one, I believe the target demographic for most advisors that would be listening to the show is 55 plus. Wouldn't you
Right.
say
Yes.
50 plus or 55 plus? Um, if you look at talk radio right now, which is the most actual successful form of radio, it's the most successful format. It's the radio people still listen to is talk radio. And whether it's sports talk, news talk, news talk radio, 55 plus. That's who you get. That's who you're going to get. You're going to get people mostly in their 60s if you target radio. Is that who you want to be talking to? I would think so. If you're a retirement income planner, investments, if you want to talk to people who have are building up money in retirement accounts and going to retire, those are the people you want to reach. So radio is just a great way to reach those people. That's if we want to bottom line it. And you can do that. Ads can work, but it depends on the station you run them on and the market you're on and the frequency you're able to afford. Many times ads have to be so frequent on radio, and people don't understand that it's more expensive to do ads than it is a half hour once a week show. And hopefully you can get, usually they give you 10 to 20 free promo spots that they'll run during the week for your show and your business if you do the show. So that's why we push people to do a show. And for example, we have an advisor in Oklahoma, and it's a great radio market because they have one main news talk station. They actually have a couple news talks, but really one biggie and then a smaller one. And he's on that station once every weekend, does a half hour, 40-minute show. And he's been on it a while, and he has stopped doing seminars and any other type of marketing. And at Summit, he was talking, and in the roundtable, he actually had 50 million in business from his radio show last year. Now there's some ads in there that he does some advertising, but it's his radio. He has a package. It's a half-hour weekly radio show. And you know what does that? It's not only how long he's been doing it. Took him a couple years to get up to that point, a few years, but it took him about 2 years to get up to the point where he's really doing well with it. But it's because he's real on the show. It's not an infomercial. He always spends the first segment talking about his pond and his ranch that he's building for himself outside the city. He talks about dealing with these cows, the Scottish Highlander cows, and he got a miniature one for his farm, didn't know what he was doing, and tells stories about he was out on his man-made pond that he's building. He was out he got this little boat and thought he'd go out there. No one else is out there. He turned too quick. The boat capsized. No one's there. And he's in the middle of this pretty big pond. So he tells those stories, right? And so the more conversational, like you said, Rob, you nailed it. If you have a conversational show, and if your personality comes across, and this guy, you talk to this guy for 20 minutes or hear him talk, you're just like, I just like take out my wallet. Here you go. Take whatever I have.
Right.
And he's one of those guys. And so it does have to do with personality. And some people might be thinking, well, I don't have that personality. But you know what? Have you ever sat across from a prospect and by the end of the conversation, they're like, I really want to work with you? Sure, you have.
Yeah.
Well, then you could be successful at doing a radio show. If you can sit across a desk and have a conversation with a possible person that you want to work with, or someone from your community to help them with their finances, you can do it on a show. The only difference is you're talking to me or a co-host in front of a mic, and you can't, if you just ignore the mic, that the mic's there and you're looking at me and we're having a conversation like you and I are, Rob, people react to that.
Mm-hmm. That distinction really matters, because when you go in with the mindset and the understanding that you're not speaking to the masses, but you are speaking to your people, all of a sudden that's when you become real. That's when it becomes real, and that's what people really want, especially in today's just weird social media world. People want real. They really earn for it, right? Like that's what they're looking for. Let's clear up a few misconceptions, because I still hear today, radio's just branding, as I said earlier. Oh man, it's so expensive, and I don't even know what I talk about. So, from your perspective, Tony, what are some of the biggest mistakes that advisors make when they first approach radio?
I would say the biggest mistake they make is that, and you covered a couple of them there. You are talking to a person. They don't want to make it conversational. They try to rely too heavily on scripts, or they're anxious about not worrying about saying the wrong things. And the reason they don't need to worry about that is we've made it so easy for them. Again, it goes back to being conversational. We do have topics and scripts, and we have a brand new one every single week of the year. So, and you don't have to do the brand new script for that week. You can look back. If you're new to the program, you've got 100+ scripts to look at. You can pick any topic you want. If you want to do a show about Social Security maximization, if you want to do a show about Roth conversions, if you want to do a show about the 5 pillars of retirement planning, if you want to do a show on, minimizing you're helping folks minimize your tax burden. If you want to do a show on Medicare, maybe you have a Medicare specialist in your office, or you get questions from your clients about that. Do a show about it and we'll talk about it. And you say, oh, I can't do that. I'm not a Medicare expert. We'll provide you with bullet points, and you can talk about the various problems. Really, to get a listener to talk to you and to help them, what you need to do is clarify the problems that they might be having. And we know the problems. You've probably heard it as an advisor. So you want to just look at, what are the actual problems I see people coming in with, and then address them on your show. It's that simple. And you say, well, I don't know how to do that. I'm here to help you. I can co-host the show with you. That's what Gradient provides. And I make it, I hear time and time again, and I'm not patting myself on the back, because we have another radio show co-host that does this. And, if you're working with a good person who knows the industry, they can do this. But I've done radio for 37 years. I've been doing this. And since I've been at Gradient 13 years, I've recorded over 22,000 financial podcasts and radio shows.
Crazy.
So, you're not going to probably stump me with, if you bring up something like,
Roth IRA,
hybrid insurance, if you want to talk about what does it mean for a small business, let's talk about the different types of IRAs or annuities, the good and the bad, whatever you want to talk about, the real estate market. Somebody has gone before you, but it's good to address those things, and we can help you. We have content we can provide you. You can call up your gradient marketer, Rob Romesburg, and he'll say, hey, I've got a great thing for you to do, a year-end checklist. Here it is. And Rob, you do this for your advisors all the time. And they say, hey, I want to talk about this. Do a podcast about it. And that's another thing I want to say. We're talking about radio, and radio isn't dead. But radio, there is a bar to entry, and there are some hurdles. If you're anywhere near Philadelphia, New York, Boston, Atlanta, or in the LA area, or anywhere in South Florida, those are problem area markets. You might not be able to step right into a radio show, but for everyone listening and and their brother and their pets, you can do a podcast.
Right.
Anyone, I don't know, there's no financial advisor out there that should not be doing a weekly podcast. You should. And there's a low bar to entry, and there's no possible reason you could give me not to. And if you say time, I do podcasts with people all the time, and it takes 20 minutes of their 20 to 30 minutes of their time once a week. That's it. And then you don't have to worry about it the rest of the week.
That's right. I would say this for the advisors that I know that do radio well, compared or what they understand compared to those that don't do radio well. Those individuals, they understand that I'm not trying to convince someone in this 30-minute show. I'm trying to build familiarity over time. And I can't tell you time and time again what I've heard from my advisors is like, hey, I just had this guy come in my office. He said he's been listening to my radio show for 5 years.
Yep. Yep. Right? I've heard everywhere from 6 months to 5 years. And guess what? That client, you don't have to do the 3 meeting setup with that person to bring them on board. They're coming in saying, I'd like to work with you. They know you. That's I tell you what, prospects you get from radio are qualified, pre-qualified prospects, because they've been listening to you, they've gotten to know you, and that's what a radio show can do. Now, can it also help you brand? Will it give you credibility in those lean months when you're thinking, I'm paying for radio and I'm not getting the calls each and every week or prospects I thought I would? I'm telling you, there's credibility. I know you've downplayed it a little bit, but the branding and credibility really does help. But saying you have a radio show, if you're doing seminars as well, and you put up the logo of the local radio station and say, listen to me every Saturday morning, that credibility will help you qualify those prospects in that room. Now, I've had a lot of advisors I've done shows with that they still do seminars and they're doing radio at the same time. And I hear it all the time. The clients, like we work with a guy in Omaha, you and I, one of your advisors. And what I hear from him all the time is, when I've done seminars, the prospects I get, I have to have the full 3 meetings, and it's such a small percentage that end up working with me.
That's right.
And I feel like those aren't the best long-term clients I typically get. Now, there are exceptions, obviously. But the people who call me, who have listened to me on the radio, they're ready to go. They're normally higher value clients. And when they come in the door, they're ready to work with me.
Yeah.
And so that's huge.
You're exactly right. And so what I'm hearing you say is that radio works more in layers as opposed to spikes, right?
Right. Exactly.
And the ROI it's more about trust as opposed to leads and clicks and things like that. And what I think you were getting ready to say this is when that prospect comes in the door, what they say generally is, I feel like I already know you.
Yes.
Right? Like I feel like I already know what I want. I know I already trust you, and I want that thing you talked about. Like it's just such a smoother transition, right?
Yeah, they really can get to know you more than they can at an hour-long dinner seminar or educational workshop. Not to downplay those things, because most people can't just stop doing that. I mean, it took years for these guys we're talking about in Oklahoma City and in Omaha to get to that point. And some of their advisors under them still do seminars. They're still working up, because what you're doing is positioning yourself. And I had an advisor that said, why don't you just host a show and air that in my market and plug my business? And I'm like, they had an idea. Why doesn't Gradient just do that? And I've had other advisors, and I'm not going to name names, that say, oh, I'm not going to be on the show. I'm going to have this guy. And it's not anybody that even works with them. It's a third party person.
Right.
And they asked me if I'd do that. And I said, no, because the whole point of the radio show is your personality, and people need to get to know you. That's why you do a radio show. And so, exactly. And maybe you own a business and you have 6 advisors under you, and you're kind of, hands off. If you're in that position, you say, which one of my advisors is a go-getter or would want to do this? Have them host the radio show, or have them host it together. You have 2 advisors under you. They can do the show, or you can host it with them. So, yeah.
And when that prospect, they do reach out from the radio, and when they do come in, what's really cool about it is that you're not starting from zero, as I was saying earlier. You're starting at the trust level, right? Like,
yes.
they already understand, and they know the company name. They probably know everyone within your firm, because throughout your radio shows, we said multiple times, you're being real. And being real is you're talking about your staff, and you're
like Bill Altman brings his staff in, like,
all the time.
Hey, we're going to have you on the show. I mean, from everybody from the front desk receptionist to his Medicare specialist, they all have made appearances, or if not, that he's talking about them constantly. So they really feel they get to know you, and the key is they get to know your philosophy. So if they agree with, okay, he's talked about, this is his philosophy about how to build a financial plan, investments here. He believes in this much growth, looking at this much risk, and uses these different tools. So then they feel like, oh yeah, I like that. I get how that works. I get where they're coming from. So, you need to be on the same page with the people you work with. And that's who you want to work with. You don't want people who you're going to fight every step of the way. And this way they feel like they've gotten to know you. And it's just huge.
But before we transition on to the next topic here, you've been too serious for too long. Give me a
what happened?
Thing or something. I mean, this is weird.
Well,
how's it going down there in financial services?
The late Matthew Perry.
Let's go.
Asking you about financial services.
Let's go.
But I mean, we've had some unique dynamics and fun things, shows with different advisors. And I find it neat when, like, a father-son runs a business, and maybe you have a father-son situation, or you and your wife work together, and you have your wife, and you might want to co-host the show with them. We had a mother-son for years here at Gradient, and I can name names, Sue Bushka and Cole Bruner. They did a show for years and years. They were one of the first shows to start with us. And Sue is so funny. I love her, but she would drive Cole nuts on the show. And that dynamic, actually, they got a lot of listenerships and clicks on their videos because they go back and forth. But during the show, Cole would get so frustrated with his mom. I want to play for our advisors out there. This is the type of thing that I love. And of course, I saved this, and we edit things out of the show. So if you're worried about saying the wrong things, they're fully edited, right? But this was one moment. We're in the middle. Cole's in the middle of talking. Check this out.
If you've never caught the TV show before, I would highly...
Oh, shoot. Sorry. I thought I shut it on silent. Oh, sorry. Hey.
Did you hear that sigh? You could hear the years of exasperation in that. I mean, that sigh.
If you've never caught the TV show before, I would highly...
Oh, shoot. Sorry.
It's one of my favorite moments, and I play that. I will play that Now, I still host a show that I will play that clip during their show, and people will just die laughing. She left her phone ringer on. She'll forget her glasses and then fumble her lines, and she goes, well, I can't see our notes. Well, where are your glasses? Oh, I didn't bring them. And Cole will just sigh. But that dynamic is actually what works for them.
Yeah.
And so it is personality, and but I thought that was something fun. And I mean, IRAs is a big topic, and I have sound bites I can use during the show to lighten it up.
Mom, that's for my Roth IRA.
I love it. That's what I'm talking about right there.
Yeah. I mean, that's fun, and I loaded this one up just for you.
You're a loony.
You're a loony, a British guy. Yeah. And sometimes if people say goofy things, unfortunately, it'll come back to them because I will save it. Our editor will save bloopers. And we have a guy, Matt Brunner, that does the show.
Stupid Matt.
That's him calling himself stupid. Or if you say something you shouldn't.
You're going straight to hell, you know.
Oh man, let's go.
So we have fun. We have fun.
And that's important too. I had this conversation the other day because we brought in a brand new crew of new employees, and they asked me to speak with them in regards to, as I've already said, I'll be here 20 years. And they're like, hey, you've been doing this forever. Let's have a conversation like where you started and your passion and all these things. And one of the last things that I ended up with, like I said, over a year ago, I started my podcast. And that was something to where it really breathed in a fresh new life into what I appreciate and what I really like doing. I've never had this like passion for podcasts or anything like that. I knew it was time to evolve and to start doing it. And then as I did it, I really look forward to it. And it also helps me with my conversations with my advisors every week as well. So my point to that is I'm really trying to show the consistency of how that makes sense to an advisor in their business as well. Over time, all of a sudden, you'll have a conversation with one of your clients and you'll be like, you know what? That's a great topic for my next show. I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
And you'll just find things like that. And all of a sudden, you're like, man, this is awesome. This is great. I really have a passion for this. And it's really helped me. So let me ask you this question. How important is consistency? Meaning same day, same time, things like that. Is that important?
Yeah. And I know that's the key to radio that people don't quite get. Like you mentioned, you alluded to that earlier. And that is with radio, whether it's ads or especially your show, it has to be every week. And can you take Christmas and New Year's and Thanksgiving off and have 3 weeks of replays those weeks, or 1 week during the summer when you're on vacation? Sure. Typically, we even try to schedule 2 shows the week before you leave, so you don't have to run a replay, right? Because with radio and podcasts, consistency is everything. Frequency and consistency. And you don't have to spend hours doing show prep, but what you do have to do is stay consistent. And that's why for the advisors we work with, same time every week, you put it on your calendar, you treat it as an appointment, just like you would a prospect.
Right.
It's that important. You record a show every week at, let's say, Wednesday at 11 a.m. your time. You're there to record a show, and I'm keeping you accountable. If I'm co-hosting with you, or you're doing it with somebody, you've been doing it a while, and you and your wife or you and another advisor do the show together, that's fine too. But it's consistency. And with radio, everything is about consistency and time. So if you do a show, if people are going to spend the money to buy airtime, I tell them, you have to be willing to do it for 1 year.
Yeah. Right.
With very little to no return, because that could happen. And if you're not, don't do it. Like if you're going to quit after 3 months or 6 months because you didn't get a call, or you feel it's not, you're not getting an ROI, don't do it.
Yeah.
But you have to commit to a year. And most people within that year will get at least one really big client that it'll pay for itself and beyond.
Yeah.
Last week, we have a relatively new guy. Hadn't been getting calls, got a call, $2.5 million client just walked in the door and said, where do I sign up? Been listening to you for weeks. Love your show.
Right.
And so that's and I hear that all the time. I mean, that's not a rarity. That's a common occurrence. And that's where radio comes in. And so, but that person does it each and every week. And I also tell people, if you can't commit to a weekly show, don't. I have people come to me and say, I want to do a show once every other month.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no. Even if they say podcast, no, that's not frequent enough to really do anything. Then it's going to be a tree falling in the woods, right? You have to have consistency. And we've got the team now, and I will say it's so much better than when I started 13 years ago, because we've got Victor in the virtual and digital marketing team heading that up. And they know how to do hashtags and take clips from your video podcasts and do shorts, and they put tags with them. And we have advisors. I mean, I remember the first week, one of our advisors in Ohio started doing that and using our team for that. He went from 0 views to 5,000 in a week. So these things can happen, but you got to build there. And you don't want to start off with a video podcast necessarily. It depends on how long you've been in the business, how comfortable you are with it. We usually say, let's do a radio show, and we'll make that radio show available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, Audible. And so it's available on all the major podcast sites, and you're going to be on your station if you have airtime, but we'll do the audio only show for a while. We'll record video when we're doing it, like we're doing, to get used to it. And then we'll start taking clips from it, and you can start promoting it as a video. And I think that's really good, but you kind of get your feet wet. I mean, the first few shows always take a little bit longer, but once you're 3-4 shows in, it's conversational like we're doing today.
Right. And I would say more than any other source of marketing out there, radio has a way of rewarding advisors who are willing to show up consistently.
Yes.
Even imperfectly. Like, don't go in there with the mindset of, man, I'm just going to hit a grand slam every show, and I'm going to get 42 phone calls after that. Like, don't have that mindset. Just know, if you are consistent and you are weekly and you're at the same time, you are going to build trust, because that's what radio does. It builds trust, as we
That's
said
right.
time and time again. And I also understand, I'm not confused. You're doing this because you want appointments. I get that.
Right.
So tell us, how do the best advisors transition listeners into conversations, into appointments, and how do they do that? Like, call to actions, like what's going on?
You have to have a great call to action. And I think some of the best are, I mean, the guy in Oklahoma comes across as so genuine, and he is. I mean, I'm not saying comes across. This guy is, like I said, 5 minutes with the guy, and I'm just handing him my wallet saying, I trust you. Whatever. And there are guys like that, but the bottom line is number one, it helps to have a great call to action. We've got a guy who gives away 10 copies of his book every week and says, the first 10 people to reach out to my office, we're going to mail it to you. No charge. We're going to cover the postage. Now, a lot of people don't want to do that. They want to get them in the door. So they say, we're offering, the call to action is a no charge, no obligation consultation. We'll sit down, answer your questions, get that plan started. We'll look at where you're at, give you a second opinion on where your money is at, what fees you're paying. We'll let you know all of that. And we'll let you know how we can help you moving forward. If you choose that, if you don't, there's no pressure, there's no obligation, and you'll get a copy of my book. A lot of these guys, maybe you're listening out there, you have a book you wrote. It's a great way. The book ties in well with radio. It's a great call to action. And a lot of guys have a book, and they do, a lot of folks, not just guys, but folks have a book, and they go through chapter by chapter, and that's their radio show each week.
Yeah.
And I've had so many do that, and it very successfully. But really how they do it is you have to ask. It's like sales 101. You're not going to get anything you don't ask for.
Right.
And the two guys that I've seen do the best in radio, they're like, I'm going to give you my cell phone. You can call me personally. I'll answer the phone. I might only have 5 or 10 minutes, but I'm going to then transfer you over to my front desk person and tell you to call her. She'll set you up on my schedule and we'll meet. But I want to talk to you. I want to say hi. And it's the personal connect. It's whatever you need to do, whether it's, some people might say, I'm never giving out my cell phone on the radio.
Right.
I have guys that do, and they've been it's the guy that made 50 million off of his radio show last year gives out his cell phone every single week. Now he has it set up where he talks to them and says, hey, I've got to run, but I want to talk to you more, set up an appointment and transfers them. But it's really making a personal connection. Our buddy in Omaha, how he talks about local Omaha politics, local Omaha businesses, and he brings those businesses who are clients on his show.
Yes.
And that has been huge. The reaction he gets from that is big. And so, and he's very much himself. And so you're either going to, people, if you love him or hate him because he is who he is.
Right.
And more people love him than hate him because he's just making a personal connection with people.
That's exactly right. What you're saying, what I hear you saying is that the call to action should feel like help, not pressure. And we're all familiar with that. We understand that. Just at Sales 101, but more so with the radio world. And as we've said time and time again, by the time someone reaches out to you from radio, they've already chosen you. So you're not convincing them at that point in time. You're really confirming. And so that's what you're trying to do with all this. Confirm everything you've already gone through with your previous shows and your previous messages and things like that. Tony, this has just been such a great conversation.
Yeah, I rambled on. I know we went long. You probably didn't even get to all your questions. I get passionate because this is what I'm passionate about. So
I love it, man. No, I seriously, I appreciate you sharing not just how of radio, but more importantly, the why behind it.
Mm-hmm.
And what we really talked about today wasn't microphones or radio stations or scripts. It was about confidence and topics and consistency and being the trusted voice. And so, but before we wrap up, so for any of those advisors out there that are listening and right now they're thinking, radio sounds interesting, but I'm not really sure I'm ready. What's one piece of encouragement that you'd like to leave them with today, Tony?
Anyone can do it. It's so easy, and we really try to make it simple and pain-free for you. And depending on what market you're in, it might not be, the cost bar might not be that high. It depends on where you're at. I just want to encourage people to give it a try. At least start doing a podcast. Reach out to us. Start with a weekly podcast. Then while we're doing that, we can look for airtime for you, and you ramp up. And I mean, when I talk about ramping up, I'm talking about a guy who would do a podcast and drink from a 311 mug. I mean, that's the kind of crazy that we're talking about here that actually can work. You want to show your personality on your show, but it's just easy. It's conversational. I mean, we've had people that you'd think, oh, they never should be doing a radio show, right? I mean, I've done radio shows with 78-year-old advisors who are slow talkers. And guess what? They got calls. They got clients, right? And I'm not going to name names, Jim Lord, but God bless him. They're right there in Kansas. This is Jim Lord here. That's his voice. I love Jim. And he still does a 90 minutes to a greater you, or 90 seconds to a greater you. Yeah. He does a 90-second spot. You just find your niche and it works. It's just so great. But before we go, I want to let our listeners know what the conversation that Rob's going to be having with his wife tonight when he gets home.
Where the heck did you get that kind of money?
From our retirement account.
That was supposed to be our reward for all the years of responsibility.
Bobby? I mean, come on. Let's go.
I
knew you'd like that. King of the Hill. Come on.
I just love King of the Hill.
I knew you did. I mean, you remind me of one of his neighbors.
Yeah. I wish I was one of his neighbors. They just live that life, So just kind of carefree. It's just a beautiful life they live. Tony, the way you were closing there, that was just such a great way to frame up the whole conversation we had, because radio's not about being perfect, right? It's just
Right.
about being present.
Yes.
And
Exactly.
so, once again, if you're somebody out there listening and you're thinking radio sounds powerful, but I'm not sure where to start, we built something that I'd like for you to take advantage of to help you to be able to decide with confidence. And it's just something that we call the advisor's guide to radio done right. So what it will do is it'll walk you through who radio works best for, what a successful radio show sounds like, what it should look like, and how to use radio to educate, build trust, attract the right prospects. So head out to the website if you want more clarity without the pressure. The website is evolvewithgradient.com/ace team. Evolvewithgradient.com/ace team. Request your copy, because quite frankly, the smartest advisor is not going to rush into marketing, and we want to make sure you understand it first. And along those same lines, but before we sign off here, I want to speak directly to you, the advisor. Thank you. Thank you for showing up for the families in your communities. Thank you for being those conversations behind closed doors that are always so difficult. Thank you for being that steady voice when markets are loud and emotions are high. Keep in mind, you're not just managing money. You are being a part of families and lives and making them. You're enriching those lives. You're giving them clarity and peace of mind, and that really matters. So thank you for that. And one more thing before we sign off: be sure to like, follow, subscribe wherever you listen. We're on nearly every platform out there. Do a lot of cool stuff, great stuff out on LinkedIn for sure. Follow out there. And if this episode helped at all, be sure to share it with any of your other advisors in the industry that might be able to benefit. Because here's the thing: the more advisors who lead with education and consistency and being authentic, the stronger that this industry becomes. This has been Unfiltered and Unstoppable. I'm Rob Romesburg with my guest, Tony Shore. Stay consistent, stay intentional, and keep showing up. Until next time, everybody.